if you have an SEC and a CFTC to some degree that have been somewhat critical of certain products that have been in the token space, then why is it so easily allowed at this point for people to be building tokenized assets off of traditional financial services when the crypto universe tokenization is still under scrutiny?
Well, this is a security. There's no dispute about it, right? So I think that the issue that crypto people have is whether the tokens they're issuing are securities or commodities. We obviously assume and admit that this is a security. It's issued by a transfer agent that we own, which is a regulated, it's a registered transfer agent with the SEC. It's sold through a broker dealer. It's also SEC regulated. So I don't think that there is any controversy around what we do from a regulatory perspective. It's clearly a security and it's clearly regulated by SEC, and we follow all the rules of how private securities are being issued and sold. I think after the success we've had with money market funds and treasuries, I think private credit, which we already have a product with Hamilton Lane, is probably kind of like the next wave that is going to come. It's also the second largest category of tokenized real world assets in crypto already. And I think that we can actually bring more institutional grade products to market, like the one we already have, as I mentioned, with Hamilton Lane, but others from Blackrock or KKR or other of our partners into the crypto ecosystem that today they do not really exist.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you join the Patreons. If you're not a part of the Patreons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And when it comes to tokenization, that's all we keep hearing about is tokenizing these T-bills. And of course, by tokenizing these T-bills, it saves the United States dollar. We know all fiat dies. But now, of course, they're moving over to tokenization to keep the Ponzi scheme going. But when it comes to crypto, we get a hard way to go. And that's because they have to play the Hegelian dialectic in order to move the space forward. We see the NWO picking the winners and losers, and we know when it comes to the big corporations and big banks, they were funding crypto from the beginning. And Bitcoin was supposed to replace the big banks. But now we clearly see the big banks were behind Bitcoin. And in 2024, we have the same crypto people talking about getting rid of the banks. Now they're cheering on BlackRock. They're cheering on Fidelity. They're cheering on Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley. Guys, this is all a show. Sit back, get your popcorn, and let it play out. But we clearly know Robinhood, Coinbase already have broker-dealer licenses where they should be able to carry securities, so it shouldn't matter whether these cryptos are securities or not. As long as these companies have done their due diligence on the utility of these cryptos, they definitely should be able to be listed. Same way if you're listing a company on the stock market. We know plenty of them have failed, but the SEC supposed to do investigation in those companies. The SEC just doesn't want to do it because that's not part of the plan. Their plan is to kick the can down the road, give the emerging markets time to rise, and then the United States follow. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And remember, guys, everything's going to be tokenized and put on blockchain. And like he stated, private credit is next. Now we have JP Morgan on Basel III, and we know they're going to be raising capital requirements. And we know for a fact this is going to squeeze out these small and medium-sized banks. And that's going to trickle down to these small businesses. And then, of course, we're going to have more layoffs. We're seeing layoff after layoff after layoff. But it's really going to start speeding up next year. But remember, the NWO calls the problem, wait for the reaction, and run in with the solution. And that solution is the machines. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have Putin in China. And of course, the media is going to try to switch up the narrative. If he's in China, we know about the Brics. We clearly know that they're off the United States dollar, so they can throw all the sanctions they want at China and Russia. We know for a fact we need China just as well as China needs us. But never forget, the central banks fund both sides. This is all a movie. And don't forget what Janet Yellen stated while she was over in China. They want to cut the surplus of what China is doing. Remember, guys, they want to cut these cheap goods, which cause more inflation. but then also make things scarce. But what's the solution? AI. They can take all the data from these shopping carts and know exactly how many pieces of shirts they need, what clothes they need, how many milks to put on the shelf. They already have all the data of every single person on what they buy. So if they know exactly what you buy, and that's the whole point of blockchain, Swift is going to have all this data. So they know what household needs what. So therefore, you don't have to worry about making more of something that you don't need, which is not a bad thing. Remember, guys, this technology can be used for good or evil, but unfortunately, it's in the hands of people that want to use the technology against you. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. But we're witnessing the fall of the United States dollar. And don't forget, I did a video a couple years ago showing you how Russia's sanctions, they've been off the dollar since 2014. And we know China was already getting off the dollar, selling all these treasuries. So the dollar is not going anywhere. We're just going to be on a level playing field. It's going to lose that world reserve currency. And that's the reason why soon we'll see the government do a shutdown in order to get these bills in order, because we no longer can spend like we were doing before. In 2025, the world is about to change for the sheep here in America. And while the sheep were sleeping, the United States world reserve currency was dying. And the rise of the Brics nations, led by that digital yuan, backed by that digital SDR, was rising, along with the machine takeover of the economy. Remember, the robots, algorithms, and drones are about to take over the economy while the sheep go inside the metaverse. Get that free money airdrop, but little do they know, they'll be told what, where, and when and how to buy, and you have 3 to 6 months to spend it or poof, it's gone. And while you're in the metaverse, they're going to be able to download you. And we know if they can download you, they can delete you. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Look, Basel III, we've been quite clear. We thought it was excessive, not well thought through. I would love to know what the end game is. What are they trying to accomplish with private credit? What are they trying to accomplish with, like even the other day, 80% of mortgages left the system. And now the government's talking about having a bailout system for mortgage companies because they're no longer in a bank that has the ability to provide liquidity in tough markets. That would be the same thing in market making. So they're looking at it. I trust Jay Powell to look at and analyze what they need to do, how they need to do it. The other thing, which I'm not sure Europeans know, I have no idea. And it may end up in a lawsuit or something like that. But the amazing thing to me is that America ended up, the end game, 30% more capital than a European bank in America. And I just, why are we arguing about international standards and then we simply don't do them? And also, I think the regulation answers the question, what do you want? How do you want the system to work? Do you want it to private credit or public credit? Do you want mortgages out of the banks? Just dictate it. If that's the goal, just dictate it. If you don't want leverage lending in the bank, just dictate it. And I think we are guardians of the financial system. We bank 100 countries, and we're on the ground in 60 countries. We do great work for cities, schools, states, hospitals, solar, wind, climate, middle market companies. Is that what they don't want or they do want? They want to make it more expensive.
But they know, or are they still trying to figure it out?
I think they've got to figure it out. I don't think it's quite clear from any analysis they did. You guys should read it and write about it. There was no detailed analysis about cost benefit, what they're trying to accomplish, what the outcome will be.
Well, I think what we've seen throughout the war in Ukraine is that that no limits friendship has certain limits. The Chinese have, while providing rhetorical support in places like the United Nations and providing economic support. China's still buying Russian oil, buying Russian commodities, exporting consumer goods and electronics to Russia. At the same time, China has not provided the weapons that Vladimir Putin, I'm sure, would love to see China supply to it. That has not reduced the tensions that its relationship with Russia has brought in terms of Beijing's relationship with Washington. We've seen Secretary Blinken raise on several occasions the issue of dual-use technologies that China supplies to Russia, things that can be used for both military and civilian purposes. And so it is something that we are still trying to figure out, but certainly some limits to that relationship so far.
What about the limits when it comes to China's financial system? Because we know Putin wants more access to that for Russia, but there's always that risk, of course, of US sanctions.
That's right. The U.S. has made it very clear that any Chinese banks, any Chinese companies that provide assistance to Russia's war effort, provide materials that are used to fight in Ukraine, will come under American sanctions. If you are a large Chinese financial institution, that is not what you want at this moment, to be cut off from the U.S. dollar markets. So that has been taken very seriously here. It is another reason that you see Beijing and Moscow both sort of talking about the need to cooperate to fend off U.S. containment. Beijing sees this as, the long arm of American hegemony, if anything else.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting it more right now with Bloomberg's Sonali Basak. Sonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told told his members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets. Now,
it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy. And you know, when the dealers have to step in to save a Treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence.
I hate when countries go off the dollar. I would not allow countries to go off the dollar, because when we lose that standard, that will be like losing a revolutionary war. That will be a hit to our country, just like losing a war. And we can't let that happen. And too many countries now are fighting to get off the dollar.
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get on stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.